The bear came through the night so quiet you could hear a drum stop. Teeth, claws, smoke, a small shout that never finished. White feathers flew up into the firelight and did not come down again. Welcome to America Tales by AwoTales. If you like strange, sad, and funny old stories, hit subscribe and tap the bell. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. I love maps and weird hometowns. Now lean in. This one gets dark, then strange, then a little silly. Long ago, under a wide harvest moon, 3 boys were born on the same day. They looked so much alike people mixed them up all the time. Mothers handed the wrong child back. Hunters came home with the wrong moccasins. The boys laughed and laughed until one day one of them grew tired of the jokes. He slipped a white feather into the back of his belt. It stuck out like a little sign. When he ran, it bobbed and flashed. People stopped confusing them. From then on, he was White Feather. They were fast as river fish. They could sneak like foxes and think quick like owls. The 3 of them were always together. They played tricks on each other and on the elders. They would hide extra corn under a log and watch who went hungry later. White Feather liked to tie knots in things, just to see who got tangled. The others, Cloud Echo and Little Flint, loved to race for the river and jump into the water and come up there laughing like frogs. When they turned 10, the harvest moon was getting thin. The sky felt close, like someone was listening. The night the bear came, it smelled of wet leaves. The bear walked into the camp like it owned the place. It tore through tents and yanked at hung meat, and in the dark, it changed the boys' lives. One brother died that night. The second died the next day. He had capsized his birch bark canoe in a hurry, trying to bring news. Rocks took his head before help could. The camp was a place of quiet voices after that. White Feather could not breathe from the grief. He went away to the sacred hill to ask the Great Spirit why. Up on the hill, the wind spoke only in little noises. White Feather knelt and shouted until his throat hurt. From the cloud, a tall, proud figure stepped out, a shape of an old Indian chief, not quite a man and not quite a cloud. His voice was rough and soft at the same time. "Your brothers are part of you," the old chief said. "They have gone to the upper world. You are left to walk the earth. You will be known. I offer you a choice." In one hand he held a great headdress. It was heavy with beadwork and feathers, a sign of a leader among the people. In the other hand, he held ears of corn and a small bundle of prairie grass. "Choose the headdress," the old chief said, "and you will be a great leader among your people. Choose the corn and grass, and you will be great among the animals and the land, guardian of the plain and the forest." White Feather looked at the headdress. It was beautiful and made his chest feel big and proud. He thought about speaking to the council fires, about stories and songs that would carry his name. He also looked at the corn and grass. He could feel the wind laugh through the grass, like his brothers' voices. He thought of deer feet, of running under moonlight. He could not decide. "Tomorrow's moon is the last of your birth moon," the old chief said. "When it sinks, you must choose." Then he was gone like steam. White Feather stayed on the hill all night. He slept, and he dreamed. In his dreams, his brothers were not dead. They were standing on 2 legs like men and on 4 like deer. They kicked up dust and pulled faces. Cloud Echo put a feather behind his ear, and Little Flint tried to tie his own shoelaces and failed. In the dream, they whispered, "Choose what you must, brother." He tried to pick both. He imagined wearing the headdress while carrying corn. He pictured himself standing at the Great Council and then slipping out to chase a rabbit. This idea made him chuckle in the night, the first laugh since the bear. When the moon was almost gone, the old chief came back, with the 2 choices in his hands. "Which shall it be?" he asked, his voice like leaves and river stones. White Feather wanted to say, "Both." But the old chief's eyes were patient and very old. "A choice is a path," the old chief said. "You cannot walk two paths at the same time." Whitefeather thought of the canoe that had flipped, the brother who had drowned trying to warn others. He thought of the bear's heavy breath in the tent. He thought of the way the deer at the edge of the woods flashed a white tail and vanished like a secret. Then slowly, he reached for the corn and grass. He did not choose because he hated his people. He chose because he loved the places where his brothers had once run. He wanted to keep watching. He wanted to be clever and quick where deer hide and where the fox dens are. He wanted to be the one who knew the paths that lead between roots and stones, those paths the dead might use. The twist came like a wind. Whitefeather folded the corn and grass to his chest and felt his bones hum. The old chief smiled, but his smile was not the old chief's alone. Whitefeather heard voices, his brother's voices, and the wind's voice, and the river's voice. The world bent, and the light shifted. Whitefeather woke on the hill, but he was not standing on two legs. His feet were soft, his knees bent toward strange directions, and when he looked back, he saw 3 white bustle feathers flick and flash where tails should be. He did not feel sad. He felt fast. "Wait!" he wanted to shout to the people below. "I chose this." But the sound that left him was only a deer squeal, and then he was leaping. Here comes the last twist. Whitefeather did not become one deer. He and his brothers, those who had died, were together again, not as men, but as white-tailed deer. They bounded across the fields, their white tails like small flags in the moonlight. Hunters would later say they saw 3 whitetails hop and vanish over the hill. Children would point and say, "There, Whitefeather." Farmers would swear the deer came close enough to look at the corn but never eat much, as if they saved their taste for running. There was another small, funny thing. Whitefeather, even as a deer, could not resist small mischief. Once, when a hunter came with bright boots, Whitefeather led his brothers in a round that made the hunter stumble into a puddle. The hunter came back soggy and angry, but the story he told at the fire was so funny every person laughed. Whitefeather liked that. Even guardians laugh. People say the white on the tails is the white feather he wore that day. Some say the old chief was the great spirit and wanted a guardian of the grass. Others say the bear was not a monster, but a test to push Whitefeather to his choice. No one can say for certain. All that matters to those who watch the fields is this. When the moon is low and the air smells of dry corn, 3 white tails will flash. They move like memory and like mischief. They are fast and clever. They are home. So if you ever see 3 white-tailed deer leap as the moon goes down, tip your hat and smile. Maybe they will stop and look back. Maybe they will lead you in a small chase just to make you happy or tired. And remember, sometimes a choice takes you to a place you would never guess. And sometimes that place is exactly where you belong. If you liked this tale, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know which fields you look out over when the moon hangs low.